So good morning to one and all. We are actually going to continue with the chapter what we have started yesterday. That is your chapter 6 of your unit 1. That was your JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. We'll just quickly have a revision in 5 minutes what we have learned yesterday. Okay. So I told you that what JDBC are, and JDBC and ODBC, we have two drivers, or we can say two softwares and Java standards available, which can be used for having an interface where we can have an option to communicate with our relational databases. That means our servlet file should connect to the relational database. For that need, we require some interfaces, okay, and through which the platform is being used by your application to connect to the relational database. To make that connection happen, we need some drivers in between which will do that work for us. Okay, and why we are using JDBC over ODBC, that also we have seen yesterday. It was been defined by your Sun Microsystems, and I told you that there will be one mandatory import statement should be written whenever you are going to start with the database connectivity program. Okay, so in your servlet file, whenever you are going to write a Java code, and whenever you're going to have a n number of import statements as per your requirement, there you also have to write one more statement, that is your java.sql.star, because the numbers of classes which you are going to use in your servlet file, okay, that class which will allow you to have that connection with the database, that is being told to the compiler with the help of these packages, because compiler is going to find that connection class, statement class, result class in your program, but it should understand from where it is coming and from where I have to use it. Okay, so for that need, you always have to mention the import statements. Whatever you use in the program, you have to hint your program from where it is coming. Now, whenever I'm going to use the JDBC library, what help is going to be provided to me whenever I'm going to work with the database connectivity? It will allow me to have a connection to the database. It will help me to create an SQL statements which can be executed also, and after execution, I can be able to view and modify the results, whichever response or records I am going to get after firing the query to the database. Now, when we talk about the design of JDBC, JDBC, I told you, is specifically made for the Java language, okay, and which was not there in the ODBC. ODBC is for any type of languages, okay. So, including Java, also ODBC can be used. And I told you that JDBC was being made specifically for Java, and it consisting of neutral API. That means it is nowhere dependent on the database or the JDBC or the database drivers. Okay. Now the JDBC was developed with the main motto that it can work with any type of databases, and that too with the relational databases. Only one condition is required here is whatever database we are going to use, that database should have the JDBC driver. Okay. And today almost in all vendors are going to have the JDBC drivers, because they also know that more than 10 billion products are using the Java language. So if they wanted to survive and they wanted to work with this particular language, so they should have the JDBC driver along with that. Okay, so maximum database vendors have the database JDBC driver, which will help us to integrate the relational database. Whatever relational database is available in the market, we can integrate it very easily with our Java application. And it was having, it can also work with the non-relational databases also, that can be your flat files and the spreadsheets. And we know that what relational databases are, it's just a collection of data which are related to each other using some constraints or keys. Okay, it comes in the form of tables, which is consisting of rows and columns. Fine. Now, this was a diagram I told you, it's very important to understand. If you'll understand this, at least this diagram, you can understand the whole structure, that how your applications and databases are working with each other. Fine. So we had an application over here which we can write it in our servlet code. Okay, using servlet code, we have a database, and our expectation is that our application should communicate to our databases. Whatever we are going to create it over here using any of the database. And I told you that every database must have the JDBC driver. Okay, it's not necessary that it will only have the JDBC driver. That is also not possible. It can have n number of drivers also, so that if at all, like Java application is not there, suppose for example C++ is there, okay, so C++ if I wanted to work, if Python I wanted to work, so JDBC is not going to work for them because it is only dependent on the Java application. It is only working for the Java application. Okay. And the databases which are being created or which are being there in the market, it is not only meant for the Java applications. Fine. So they will be having n number of drivers, installed into there, and also the only requirement is that it should have the JDBC driver if at all it wants to communicate with the Java application. Fine. And that all drivers are been there in the databases, and that you can say it like one type of an identity for the Java application. If the Java application wants to identify which database I am using it and I'm connecting to. Okay. So that all been stored in the form of list in the JDBC API. Okay, in the JDBC driver manager, you can say. So for example, JDBC driver manager, it is working like a record maintaining kind of part, where it is maintaining all the list of those drivers already available into that driver manager, possible, uh, you can say the JDBC drivers and the possible JDBC drivers of the databases, so that if in future Java application wants to connect to any type of database, it can connect to. Okay. So this diagram is important, please remember this is very important. And then we have gone through with this, that is your ODBC driver. And ODBC was there before the JDBC, and ODBC was basically meant for all the types of databases. The difference I told you is what, n number of applications can send the data to the database. Okay. Either it can be relational or non-relation, doesn't matter at all about the database. Also here there is no requirement of having the database driver. Okay, the previous one, the JDBC, is requiring the JDBC driver to be get installed into the database end. Okay, but here it is not required. Here the ODBC driver is there, which is going to work with the database. Fine. And all the request and response happens through the ODBC driver. Fine. Now, we had studied about this, the difference between ODBC and JDBC. The only reason of not going with ODBC over your JDBC is that performance and the platform dependency, okay, which is there in ODBC for the Java application. That's why the JDBC was been there in the market for the specifically Java application. Okay. And it has been also said that your ODBC is very much flexible and easy to use for those languages which are procedural languages, and Java application is completely an object oriented, so that's why JDBC is also been known as object oriented, and it is working for object oriented Java language. Okay. So now we have learned this about JDBC architecture. I have shown you the diagram also for this. Okay, so we have a Java application. This is a neutral API. This is like your list of JDBC driver being managed by this driver manager. Okay, and no matter from where your database and the data are coming, so it doesn't affect your application. The only thing is that the requirement should be fulfilled. These two requirements should be fulfilled. There should be a JDBC driver in each database so that it can communicate easily to your Java application. Okay. Now, we also know what components of JDBCs are. First one was your driver, that nothing but an interface between your database and the server. I hope you should know the difference between database and the server. I told you, make a clear picture in your mind that we have client, we have server, and we have a database. Okay. And the server is responsible whole and soul, which is making the client and the database to communicate with each other. Fine. When I talk about the client to server, we have studied enough that how client communicate with the server, how data has been sent. Okay, how response can be generated from the server. Here in this chapter we are much more concerned about the communication between server and the database. Even though the request is coming properly from the client end, server is not holding any type of data permanently. Okay. And that all data has been present in your database permanently. So what server needs to do, all the data is required should be fetched from or retrieved from your database. So what is going to happen, whenever the request is been passed by converting the client's request to the database, If the response is not coming, if the connectivity is not happening properly between your server and database, if they're not identifying each other that they want to communicate and they have to communicate, then there is no point of making this whole architecture. Then there will be no request responses happening between your client and database. Okay. Next is what your driver manager. It is, again I am telling you, it's consisting of list of database drivers. So whenever you are going to do a practical, that time also I'll show you that what data or driver manager are, because there is an option whenever you are going to have that database connectivity steps. Whenever you're going to perform that, there you'll find an UI, user interface, where you can find, actually you can see visibly that there are numbers of database drivers are present, predefined. They have already listed and they have already kept it into that particular driver manager, so that client only has to select it. Okay. Next is what connection class, and this particular interface is going to have all the methods which will allow me to have a contact to my database, or I can connect to my database. This is a very initial phase I am having that connection class. Whenever I'm going to use it, will just provide me a platform to have that connection built. Then we had a statement class which will allow me to have to submit the SQL statements to my database. You can say, you can have the insert statement, update statement, delete statement, like whatever changes you want to do, whether you want to update, whether you want to delete, or whether you want to just add. Okay, so that type of statements comes under this class, that is statement class. Whenever I am going to execute the query, or I can say whenever I am trying to retrieve the data from the database, I can do with the help of result set class. Okay, so you can say the select query which you fire to the database, that is coming under your result set class. And then finally we had the SQL exception, which is responsible to handle the errors that occurs in your database application. Okay, so till here I think we have finished yesterday. Now we are going to start with a new topic, that is your JDBC driver types. Now we have total 4 types. Okay, we'll see one by one with its advantages and disadvantages. So the very first type 1, is JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Okay, now we'll try to understand with the help of the diagram. Fine. What does it mean? So we have, you can see here, there is a 2-tier architecture. If you can see it clearly, this whole section comes under your client machine. That means it's a client tier, and this is your database tier. So completely we can see that it is a 2-tier architecture. First thing. Second thing is what is this JDBC and ODBC bridge driver? Okay. Now, for example, I am having a Java application which is consisting of JDBC neutral API, okay, and I am having a database. What is the expectation over here? That my Java application should send some request and the respective response should be coming back to this application. Fine. Now, for example, now consider the database which is here is not having the JDBC driver. Okay, I told you the condition of using the JDBC. JDBC can be used only when I am going to have a JDBC driver for that particular database which I want to use it. Very much clear. Okay, if the JDBC driver is not available into the particular database which I want to use it, then it is very difficult for me to get connect to that database directly. Okay, there are number of solutions available. One of the solution is your type 1. Okay, so now here what we are considering, the database which we are trying to communicate to, it is not having JDBC driver. Okay, but still the Java application wants to connect to that database with it because of its features or anything you can say. Okay, we are not opting for any other database, but we want to opt for this database. Now I'll just give an example. Say for example MySQL. Okay, currently, or we can say in a real world, MySQL is having a JDBC driver. Just for an example, I'm telling you that let's consider MySQL is not having any JDBC driver. Okay, so now what will happen? I am having a Java application, I'm running on this MySQL database, I am there on the MySQL database, and considering that it doesn't have the JDBC driver, okay, but I want to use this database only because of its great features. So what option I have? First of all, I should have one software, one driver again. That driver name is something called as JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Okay, the JDBC driver, like your JDBC driver, which was nothing but a Java standard, which was a protocol, you can say, which was a software, you can say, which is already defined thing in your development kit, Java development kit. Okay, which you can use to communicate with the database. Similarly, there is a JDBC ODBC bridge driver available. There is a software called this is available. Okay, so whenever you try to have the connection with such database which is not supporting JDBC driver, what you can do is you can externally install this type of library or API in your client machine, which will allow you to communicate with the database with the help of this software. Okay, now it is not the only one thing which is required. First of all, what I am doing over here, I am trying to have that software, that is JDBC and ODBC. Now when there is a word include called ODBC driver, so that means I also need an ODBC driver to be installed in my client machine. So what will happen over here? We know that ODBC driver can work with any type of database irrespective they have the JDBC driver or not. Okay, this was very much clear when we have studied about the difference. So ODBC driver is not at all dependent on any type of database drivers. They can directly communicate with any data type, any database. Okay, so what we have done, so we know that ODBC driver can communicate to any database. So even if it is MySQL with no JDBC driver, doesn't affect to this. Okay, so now here I have made the database. There is an ODBC driver which is connected to this, and this ODBC driver is going to connect it to your JDBC ODBC bridge driver, which is going to work as a bridge between your Java application, which is having JDBC driver, and this is your ODBC driver, which is having its own ODBC driver. So now it is going to work in between. So this is like one software which is working between your JDBC and the ODBC. Fine, and it is been designed and developed in such a way to do this task only. Fine, so this is your type 1 where I am, having that type of database where I am considering that I don't have any JDBC driver installed into that database. That means it is not supporting, your vendor's database is not supporting. So but still I want to use the database because of its features. So what I can do, I can have two three one or two things to be get installed into my client machine, and externally I can do that and I can start using the database. Okay, what is going to be advantage and disadvantage? It is easy to use, but I don't feel so that it will be that much, because see, we have to install it two more things to into our client machine. No doubt it's very easy because just an API which you needs to install it, or the external libraries you want to install it. Okay, and you can easily download it. Java APIs are easily available into the internet. You can just find it out as per your requirement, and you can download and add it into the development kit which you downloaded. For the Java JDK which we downloaded, there is an option, if you'll just open that bin tab, when we used to have that path copying, if you'll open that, you will find number of APIs are available, number of packages are available. So it's not, we have studied about Java, that Java is allowing me that option also. If I wanted to add any external library or packages into the existing one, it can integrate it and it will allow me to use that. Fine, so there is not at all a problem. So that's why it is saying it is very easy to use. Okay, and it can be easily connected to any form of database which is not even having the JDBC driver. Okay, but what can be the disadvantage? Obviously it is going to have a performance degradation, because it can have the conversion of methods and the function calls from your ODBC to your JDBC. Okay, then again we know that there should be a requirement of two things to get installed into the client machine, so which will lead to the performance degradation. That is going to be your disadvantage. Now I hope I'm clear with the type 1. I am going to the type 2, JDBC native API. Okay, now we know that why we want the first type. Okay, now why we want second type? If we want to remove that JDBC and ODBC, or I can simply say that I just don't want to use the ODBC driver. Okay, I just wanted to stick to my JDBC driver. So what I can do now, what you can do over here is, again, if you'll see, again, this is a two-tier architecture. This is whole your client and this is your database tier. Fine. Again, you have a Java application, you have a JDBC API which is running for this. Okay, and this is your vendor's database which is there, and the database library which is present inside your client machine. Okay, now If I want to remove, if I want to neglect that, JDBC ODBC bridge driver and that ODBC driver which are externally installed into your client machine, which is causing me the performance degradation, what I can do is I can install the another software again available very easily. You can just download it externally, add it. Okay, that driver name is nothing but native API driver. Now, for example, again, you have a database, say for example MySQL, not having JDBC driver. Still, I am telling you that MySQL in reality is having JDBC driver. But for an example, we are just considering that if you are having a database that is your MySQL database, okay, and you don't have JDBC driver for that particular MySQL, and still you want to use it but not with the help of JDBC ODBC bridge driver and the ODBC driver, what option you can have? Then you have another driver called native API driver. Now what does it mean, native API driver? It is that driver or a software which is going to have a communication between Java application and the MySQL. Now MySQL, it's not necessary that if it is not having JDBC driver, so that it will not be running for any other programming language. Okay, it can also happen that it is only been used for the C++. Say for example, I have a C++ language. Okay, and this particular specific native API driver is only meant for those languages which is going to use C++, and the database called MySQL is only going to work for C++ or C. Okay, so here that compulsion, or we can say that condition comes where the database called MySQL is only going to work for that language, that can be C or C++, which is something been also called as native language of Java. That means which is similar to your Java language. Okay, so C and C++, somewhere or the other, it's a procedural, or we can say partial object oriented language, but some or the other way it is very much similar to your Java application or Java language. Okay, so now this native API driver is going to do what? It is going to take a native language which is supporting this particular database. Okay, so if I have a MySQL not supporting JDBC driver but supporting C++ driver, C++ language, so what will happen? We will use the C++ language and we can access the data from here. But this driver is going to convert all my functions and the methods called for the Java application, which Java is going to understand. Okay, so this is your type 2. So type 1, we had a JDBC, ODBC bridge driver and the ODBC driver, which I want to, remove from here, and then I can use the type 2 where I have an option called as native API driver. Okay, so it is like somewhere you are using a language called C++, which is going to support that specific database. Here one condition also you have to remember. If for example, database is going to change, your native API is also going to change. Okay, that means if I'm using C++ and my database is only working for the C++, if I'm changing database, that means I have to change the language also. Fine, so this is your type 2 JDBC native API. Now what is the advantages and disadvantages we have? Obviously the performance is little bit going to be upgraded because we have replaced two things by one over here. And what is the disadvantage? It is going to be the native driver needs to be get installed in your client machine. Also the vendor of the database, its libraries also needs to be get installed on your client machine. That's your disadvantages. Now, when I talk about type 3, that is your JDBC Net Pure Java, which is saying that it is again a 3-tier approach. Okay. And here one thing they have written that whatever JDBC clients are there, they have to use a standard network sockets. Okay. Now, in very general term, what sockets are, it's nothing but it has been something present in either maybe in your client side or in maybe into your server side. But here in this type 3, what is the requirement? It should get installed into your client side, first thing. Now what sockets are? They are something which has been allowing the two-way communication between your server and the client. Okay, and it is completely working from the port of your client. So if I have a client machine and I have a port, so it is going to use a TCP IP protocol to have that communication between server and the client. Okay, so for that need, what requirement is I am having? I should have the network protocol driver to be installed in my client machine. Okay, so now here what is going to happen, if you'll see clearly, it is somewhere three tier architecture. I have a client machine, okay, I have a server side, I have a database. So what I'm going to do, I am going to write a Java application over here. So in type 3 I'm completely removing that native languages part. Now I'm completely focusing on that thing which is only, surrounded by the Java things. So now what I'm doing, I'm just having one protocol, one driver which is getting installed into my client machine, and through the port of the client using the TCP IP protocol over the network, it will communicate with the server. And in the server, this is middleware. Middleware is nothing but the server side programming which we are going to write it. So it can be your servlet programming, okay, which will communicate with your database. So it was like, one by one came into the market. It was not that all four were there together and, we were just using any one of them. It's not like that. So there was a type 1 came first. We have understood the disadvantage, then type 2 came, then type 3, and then finally we had the type 4. We'll see first the advantages and disadvantages of your type 3. But obviously we don't need any type of client side library to be, get installed into your machine. It is all the things like your load balancing, auditing, logging, maximum performance, maximum task has been done by your server. Fine. What is the disadvantage? The first thing which has been required over here is but obvious network. Okay, so network support is required on your client machine because you are going to communicate with the network socket to your server. So you need a network support. Okay. Second, they are saying that requires a database specific coding to be done in the middle tier. So now what does it mean? If I have a diagram like this where I am saying that there is a middleware that is nothing but your server side, which is there in your server side. And I told you this middleware is nothing but it is going to be the server side programming which we are going to do. Okay, and that can come in the form of servlet coding. So that means you have to do a database specific coding into this part. Okay, so means I am going to use n numbers of classes over here so that my database and my application are going to communicate to each other. Fine. So this is all requirement we have. Maintenance of network protocol driver becomes very costly because it requires database specific coding. That is like a disadvantage, but I am not finding it disadvantage because it is like there in every, every language, or you can say in every database. If I wanted to use a database using JDBC driver, so you have to be more specific with that type of database, coding. So there is no harm to do that, because otherwise how you're going to communicate to your database. Okay, so you can take it as a disadvantage also, but I feel that it is there everywhere. So every company, every vendor is making this specification or compulsion that they should have the database specific coding only. Otherwise all the database are going to have a same, form of coding, and there's no difference into their respective syntaxes. So if you'll see, if you have used it Oracle, if you have used its SQL server or a MySQL, queries, insert statement, select statement, create statements are there, but somewhere or the other writing into the parameters, the syntax, somewhere syntax are going to differ. That is the only the USP of every company is having. Fine. Okay, so last type is nothing but your 100% pure Java. Okay, which is also been known as thin driver. Okay, it is completely Java based driver, specifically made for Java, or you can also say that it is a JDBC driver. Okay, JDBC driver, or the another name for JDBC driver, is your thin driver, which is giving you the highest performance. Okay, so we know that what type of, JDBC drivers we had. First we came across with your type 1, that is your JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Okay, where I'm expecting to install that JDBC ODBC driver also along with the ODBC driver into client machine. And then we want to, remove that part, that two things. So I have replaced it with one thing, that is your native API driver, which is completely, specific, or we can say bounded to the database. Whichever database I am using, it should be supportable to that particular native language which I am going to use it. Okay, then comes to your third one, where I'm expecting to have the network protocol driver and the middleware, where I'm going to write a database specific code. Finally, it comes your theme driver, which is also been known as JDBC driver. Okay, and if you can see, it is again a two-tier architecture. So we have a client machine and we had a database. So whatever you are going to do in your client machine, like you are going to create your application also using the platform, and you are going to have a JDBC driver also on your client machine, which is going to communicate to your database. So it's not necessary. So if I'll give you an example, say for example NetBeans. Okay, so NetBeans is a platform which is including the JDBC API also. It is including, it is going to have a Java application which developer is going to develop it, and it is also going to have a JDBC driver installed previously prior, whenever we are going to install the NetBeans, the JDBC driver comes along with it. So everything is in one platform, that is a client machine. And the database is not necessary that it is going to be there into the platform itself. It can be externally placed somewhere and we can connect to it. Okay, that's why it is something been called as two-tier architecture. Now, what advantages and disadvantages you have? Obviously, advantage is that you can have the better performance as comparatively all the other drivers. Okay, and there is no software is required at client side or a server side. Just a platform which you want to install it that, and you can get whatever things you require for your application. Disadvantage, again, the drivers are going to be dependent on the database. I told you, whatever databases you are going to have from different vendors, only requirement to work with Java application is that you should have the JDBC drivers if you want to work it. Okay, and if you don't have the JDBC driver in any of the database, then you have number of options, solutions, like your type 1 and type 2. Okay, so but I don't feel and I don't think so that there is any other database vendor available who don't want to have the JDBC driver, because every database company know that there are more than 10 billion products are running on Java. Okay, so they will not take that chance and they'll not have that option. Fine. Now, the question comes that which driver should be used. Fine. So if you are using any one of the type of database, it can be Oracle, Sybase, MySQL, IBM. Okay, so preferred driver type is 4 because they all have the JDBC driver. And if your application is accessing multiple types of databases at the very same point of time, so you can switch to the type 3. Type 2 drivers are useful when you don't have the options for type 4 and type 3. Okay, it's not available for your database. Then type 1 is completely said that you can at least avoid this type of driver, should not go with this driver for your deployment level application. And yeah, so it is like something almost deprecated, also not available that much. So don't use it, because it is somehow it is going to give you the pain only, nothing more than that. Fine. Now, we have some simple steps which we can follow as a programmer whenever we try to establish a JDBC connection, and it's fairly a simple one. Okay, so the very first step, which we are just learning from the very first slide, that we should have the very first statement in our Java code is an import statement. You can have n number of import statements in your program. You can also have one more import statement, that's your first Java SQL. Okay, that is your java.sql.star package. Once you import that package, your program is going to have that what you can say options that you can use number of classes and packages, or number of classes and interfaces, which will allow us to have that communication and connection with the database. Okay, if you will not import that SQL package and simply you will try to access and simply want to write the class name and the interface name into the program which will help me to communicate with the database, your JVM is not going to understand basically which classes from where you are trying to call. So import statements are very much required. Second thing is what? Register your JDBC driver. That means what? If you remember, in the diagram we had JDBC driver manager. Okay, and I told you that it is meant for listing out all the JDBC drivers from the databases. Means what? If you remember, I have shown you one table to you yesterday, where I have shown you the MySQL driver path. What is a MySQL driver path? What Oracle's driver path is? They're all predefined. You don't have to change anything over there. Okay, so all the possible JDBC drivers from the different databases, your Java is already having into your driver manager. Okay, it is already predefined. So by chance, if at all, for example, if you don't have it, okay, and if you want to register that JDBC driver of that particular database, okay, for example, MySQL is having JDBC driver, but it is not been listed into my driver manager, and I want to use it. Okay, so what I can do is, first I can register the MySQL along with its JDBC driver. Okay, once I have registered, and then your JVM can easily load the desired or a required driver whenever you are going to have the JDBC request. Okay, next is your database URL formulation. Now, once you have imported the statement, or you can say the SQL package, once you have registered the required driver, if it is not available, most probably you don't have to do this step at least whenever you're going to have the practicals, but because it is already present, okay, by chance we are saying that if it is not there, we can register it also. Then third comes your database URL formulation. That is what you can have the database address. If you remember, in that same table we had one section where I have written the database URL. Now what is going to be into that database URL? First of all, the URL which is consisting of database path. Secondly, it is going to be the database name. Third, it is going to be the username, and fourth, it is going to be the password. Okay, so first thing what I said, it is going to have the URL. Now in URL also, what thing you are going to have? You're going to have the host name, you're going to have the port number, you're going to have the local host. Okay, so this thing is going to make one URL. Okay, and that URL, along with that, I'm going to have the database name, to which database I want to connect to. See, while doing registration, I told you that I want to register MySQL and I want to work with MySQL. So now that your JVM is very much sure that you want to work with the MySQL. Now in MySQL, which database you want to work for? Okay, so that database name you have to give here in this third step. Give the credentials also of that database, because if you will just keep the username and password, and if you're not providing it to your servlet file, okay, so then your servlet file is not able to access it because of the authentication. So you should provide the username and the password also. Fine. Once the database URL formulation is done in your program, now you have to create the connection. So for that need, I have a connection class. I told you yesterday, we have a connection class which is giving me a platform to have that connection built between the server and the database. So we have created a base, by importing, by registering, by putting the database URL, telling everything to my servlet program, to which database I want to connect to, which, with which credentials I want to connect to. Now I am going to have the connection, actual connection, which is going to start. So that is going to be done with your connection class. Okay. And to have that connection, in the connection class, I have a specific method called get connection method. Okay. And that get connection method is going to establish the database connection with the server. Fine. We'll see one by one. So we'll have an import JDBC packages, first one. So here I told you that what is an important part to make your Java compiler understand that whatever classes and the interfaces you are writing into your code inside your class is coming from where. It should be given in the form of import statement. You have number of packages in Java, okay? Classes, interfaces, that all comes afterwards. Okay, the first thing which comes is your package. You have to make your program understand, from this package I am using this class. Okay, so import statements are important. So here how we can write import java.sql.star. Okay, next the import java.math.star. It just given. So for example, if you have a bigger calculation, one application, like you're making some application which is having some calculation, like the calculator or scientific calculator you are making, and you are expecting that something to be done over there with the database, so you can use this package, that is math.package, math.star. Now once you have imported, what next step we have started, that is your registration. Okay, register your JDBC driver. How we can do that, I told you that why we are doing that registration. Okay, once you start with your programming, you must register your driver in your program, so that your program will not have any confusion that which driver I want to use it. So if I'm talking about Oracle, I want to use an Oracle database. I have a specific, JDBC driver available for my Oracle database. Let the program also understand and not have any confusion that which driver it wants to use it and which database it wants to connect to. So you have two approaches to make your program to understand that. Okay, here also I'm telling you one thing, that we are going to use the first approach, and the second approach we are learning. If you feel that you are comfortable with the second approach, you can go ahead with that also. Okay, so now here in first approach, whenever we are going to use this first approach, that is your class dot for name, here what we are saying, that we are considering that driver manager. Okay, that is, you remember the diagram, Java application, JDBC API, then we had driver manager, JDBC driver manager. We are considering that our driver manager is having the JDBC driver of the specified database already in approach 1. Okay, so that means in the given list of JDBC driver manager, I'm considering that there is already a JDBC driver available, and I just have to call it into my program. Fine, this is your approach 1. So if I wanted to do that, where I'm considering it is there, I don't want to register it into my driver manager and then use it. I am already having into my driver manager. So what I can do is I can simply write class dot for name. In the parameter, I'll just call that driver path. Okay, so this is clearly, seen that it is for the Oracle database having the JDBC driver, and that driver name is what, your Oracle driver. Okay, so by this, your program, your servlet file is going to understand that you are calling this particular driver, JDBC driver, which is meant for the Oracle driver. Okay, which is meant for the Oracle database. So this is the first approach, where I'm considering that my driver manager is already having the list in which this particular driver is registered. Okay. Now the second approach is what? Where I am not considering, where I know that I don't have the driver registered already into my driver manager, and I have to do it and then I have to use it. Okay. So how you're going to do that? I have a specific driver class for that, and I'm going to create an object for my driver class, where I am going to store or call that particular JDBC driver of Oracle database, and this Oracle database driver is going to get stored into this particular object. Once it is stored into this object, what I can do is, now I can add it into the list of driver manager. How I can do that? I can have the driver manager class dot register driver is the method which is present inside this class. Okay, so this method is going to help me to register the new driver, maybe which is not listed or registered into the driver manager. I can register it like this way and I can use it. Fine. So this is your second approach. You can have it for your registration, registering your JDBC driver. Understood? So here I am just stopping your lecture. Okay, I'll just stop sharing this. Also, if you have any doubts, students, you can just let me know. This is a very important chapter as per your enterprise Java, because everywhere you have to see these terms and deal with these terms. Okay, so maximum I am trying make you to understand, making that picture in your mind so that you can understand what exactly working is all about this, whole architecture, how it is working. So just let me know if you're not getting anything. Okay, so we'll be continuing. We'll have more 2 lectures to finish this particular chapter. I'm just going very slowly in this chapter so that you can understand the Java database connectivity. Okay, so I'll just stop sharing this. If you have any doubt, you can just ask me.